Well, let's talk about side dressing vegetables. You may understand it, you may not. I'm going to try to help you realize what it is. Now, most people have to use some kind of dry commercial fertilizer to grow things in soil, vegetables. And it's NPK. The N is nitrogen, the P is phosphate, and the K is potash. And those three ingredients are what plants need to live on. Now each one does it does a different thing. Nitrogen is for the greenery of the plant, and phosphorus and potash is for fruiting of the plant, the health of the plant, and growing things under the soil. Nitrate gets used up quicker than the other two, so you side dress things. Now some things you side dress with like a basic fertilizer 10 10 10 15 15 15. It's just a balanced fertilizer of those three ingredients. And then the deal is when do you do that? Now these are watermelons. We haven't got these few little weeds out, don't worry about that. But a watermelon, you put 10 10 10 in your soil. And then when they send out runners, now those don't quite look like they sent out runners. But see that one there, it's starting to send out a runner. When they start to send out the runners, and see that one is running away from the plant, when it starts to send out runners, you need to fertilize them again, because the fertilizer you put in the soil has been used up by this point in the watermelon's life. The next time you would side dress a watermelon is when the runner gets way out here and starts having flowers. Now usually you have male flowers first. You'll see squash and don't get a lot of squash, but you got all these flowers. The plants put out the male flowers first to attract the pollinators into your garden, and then when the female flowers open, they're already there to help pollinate. So when the watermelon plant puts out its first flowers, it has used up that nitrogen again. It doesn't need the potash and phosphorus, but it needs the nitrogen. So you would side dress when they put out flowers with something that would be like 10-5-5, you know, so it's more nitrogen because it doesn't need the other two. Now cucumbers, when they flower, they have used up the nitrogen and some of the potash and phosphate in the soil that you put in at the beginning. But it's primarily used up the nitrogen. But you can side dress them with the same 10 10 10 again when they flower. Now if you have good soil like we do, I can wait till they set fruit. If you had poor soil, as soon as you saw those flowers on cucumbers, you would side dress them. And then that will give them a punch to keep growing and staying healthy, and a healthy plant can get away from diseases. Now some people like to side dress tomatoes when they put out their first flowers, and others like to do it when they start making tomatoes. I'm going to walk over to the patch. Now this 4th of July tomato was about that tall on May the 26th, and today is July the 19th. And it has all these fruit on it. And it has set flowers a long time ago. We've already picked probably 150 off of this row, 200, and we've given most of those away. So it needs a little punch, and you would just side dress this again with a 10 10 10. You can use Miracle Grow if you want to mix it up and just have the sprayer put the whole content in it and spray the ground. You don't need to spray the leaves. You can foliage feed your plant, but the trouble with some plants, you don't want the leaves to get wet. And if they get wet and it's late in the day, it's more prone to disease. So it would need a side dressing. We have pretty good soil. This is set on its own. I don't generally side dress my tomatoes unless I see that the leaves are not a healthy green or the plants are not growing as fast as it should. And when you side dress cucumbers, or if you want to side dress your tomato plants and you want to use Miracle-Gro, just spray it on the plants. It's the easiest way to do, because the roots of all your plants are very tender, and if you put fresh, dry 10-10-10 type fertilizer on it, you'll burn the roots. And you can't do it at the roots, you do it away from the roots. Like on a watermelon, you want to side dress this. Well, that's where the roots are, and maybe they're in a circle about that big. You don't want any fertilizer there. You want to come right here and dig this up and put a little fertilizer in here in the bare spots around. And the watermelons are real deep-rooted plants, and the roots go down a good ways, but they do spread out. And dry fertilizer, as it starts to break down in the soil, will kill those roots, so you can't get them near the roots. And the same thing with corn. Now here's our corn patch. It's another thing that's called a heavy feeder. It means it takes a lot out of the soil. Now we just put in 10-10-10 and worked it in the soil with lime. Now this whole garden has lime and 10-10-10 on it. Now the lime is not going to break down. It's going to be good for the season because we use pelletized lime. Now if you have things in a pot and you're using the fertilizers like Osmocote that is pelletized and it's time released, you don't need to side dress it. That's a beautiful thing about time release. As it wears down over the whole period of that plant's life, it provides all the nutrients. Now back to corn, when it gets as high as your knee, of course you could be 4'9" or 6'8", but when it gets about 10 or 20 inches, that's about where the average person's knee might be. It needs to be side dressed. Now it just needs the nitrogen, and then when it tassels, it needs to be side dressed again, because right now those plants are getting close to that knee high and it's almost used up all the nitrogen. But you can see the nice green foliage, so it's got enough nitrogen right now. In another week or so, this is going to need a side dressing of nitrogen. You just want the first number to be higher than the other two. And if it's all nitrogen, you'd have to figure out the measurements on how to put it on, and you need to put it on exactly like the directions per 100 square feet, you know, for the size of your row. And then when it tassels, it's used up that nitrogen again, and it's getting ready to make all those seeds on that ear of corn that you plan on eating, and so you would have to side dress it again with nitrogen. More nitrogen than the other two. And that's what it is about side dressing. Pull this back and put your fertilizer in here, put your fertilizer here, but you could go down the side of that and put the fertilizer in, and those roots will get to there and they will get what they want. But you don't want to put it next to the plant, because then if you pull this back, you're disturbing the plant, and then the fertilizer will kill the roots. Just keep it 4 inches away from the way the roots are.